invitation. Thank you very much, Ilaria, and thank you very much for being here with us. I'd like to share with you some aspects of this very rich first day. It was really intense and rich in satisfaction. We stopped here because I have chosen this picture because this is a memory of the Mite Kipakima 2018 edition. We had a very positive memory because it was a really interesting edition, a growing edition, where MITEC actually decided to go on growing and developing. I first of all would like to start by thanking our partners. They are here with us. ASICA, first of all, the president that is here with us, ASSO Foodtech, that will have its own event in the next days, and then for sure Uchima, the partner, and also expression of property of Ipakima. A couple of figures, in case we have some journalists between the participants, so 111 exhibitors from 13 countries, and very important, 120 buyers from 27 countries. If you had asked me 2 months ago how many foreign buyers we would have had, my answer wouldn't be that comforting, so to say. But then I'd like to thank my team because we have been able, with great efforts, to achieve this small but huge result. We have focused our attention on content and innovation. Innovation that in this sector, in the exhibition area, can express itself at its best. So the title is Come and Get to Know Innovation, just to allow you to understand the common thread of our event, because we like to talk about what's going on in the sector. So we'll see today what will happen in the markets in 2 or 3 months. So I just don't want to quote one of our partners because I think it's really important to talk about innovative ingredients. We'll have green packaging tomorrow. We will actually host a very important event that is Packaging Speaks Green, second edition, a pocket edition that is very special following the first edition that actually took place a couple of days before the lockdown in 2020. So I hope to see you all tomorrow and in the following days for these conferences and workshops that will be hosted in this place. We have also decided to focus our attention on leading innovation. So together with our team and exhibiting companies, we have worked something that is material, that is concrete, that can actually give something to visitors to take away in terms of packaging and processing. And from there, we have created the idea of the sustainable factory by MITEC. So it is actually an idea. We are not exactly in the factory, but we will have 2 production rounds, 2 demonstrations every day at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And I'd like to thank AIPRA, Veritas, Comprix, Giannini, Afiker, an FT system of the group Antares Vision. So living innovation has also something related to soft content, if we can define it like that. So it concerns the world of formulation, of ingredients, of how food can actually be created in a very careful way. So when you want to create something, then you start from the ingredients. There is a great debate about meat, not meat. Of
course, we are here and we say yes, meat, but consumption is evolving, and we have to try to follow this evolution by proposing in the exhibition something that is more and more innovative and can anticipate the future. And starting from there, we have food experience in collaboration with a new company, iFood. There we have a space where you can actually taste the food of the future. Together with iFood, we will create a kind of storytelling for ingredients, plant-based ingredients, and the ingredients of the future. And then, thanks to the collaboration with the ITA, we have a startup area. And there we talk about the IoT, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, blockchain, so everything that is related to software, to the cloud, and that Italy is able to express in terms of innovation. So I'd like to thank the Italian Trade Office and also the Ministry for Foreign Affairs for their collaboration. Together with them, we have organized a very interesting incoming of foreign buyers. Of course, we haven't been able to collaborate with all countries we wanted to focus on. But anyway, we see some results and we are looking for the world to reopen itself in order to be able to host guests coming from around the world. Even if it was not possible for all buyers to be here in presence, I know they are connected online and I'd like to thank them if they are connected right now. We have the My IPA IMA. This is a tool for matching offer and demand, and through this tool, even buyers abroad have been able to interact, to require information, to talk about projects, and all information that can lead to new businesses. Let's get to the core of this presentation. We are here today just to present you the first release of IPA Clima Business Monitor. This project is in collaboration with Max, the Centro Studio CIMA, and this project would like to offer a dynamic picture, so to say, and then there is another speaker that we're going to talk about this in details. So we'll try to offer a dynamic picture of the sectors where our technologies are applied. The MeetTech report is available for free for exhibitors of our exhibition that will end on the 26th of October. I'd like to conclude by saying that we have Host and Tuttofood simultaneously on with the MeetTech, and so we really have the opportunity to deepen our knowledge and of the supply chain, of the context related to it. So once again, thank you very much for being here with us. I'd like to thank Monsieur Abdel Karim Esolami, sorry for my pronunciation, and also Marhama. So I think I'm done. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Rossano. Rossano has already introduced the next step of this hour that we will spend together. I'd like to ask Luca Baraldi to come on stage because he coordinates the first release of the IPA Clima report related to fish, meat, and dairy. So please, you have 15 minutes available. I know we have prepared plenty of slides, but we have 15 minutes available. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here at MeetTech to be able to present the research study we have performed with our center on meat, fish, and dairy, so fresh food within these three subcategories. So the main object of our research study is to focus on the trends related to this supply chain as for the past, but also as for the future trends. So let's start from some figures. I'll share with you plenty of figures. I'll try to be as clear as possible. When we talk about this sector, fresh food, what are we talking about? We talk about a primary production related to breeding, to the primary processing, equal to 545 billion tons worldwide, whereas processed fresh food is equal to roughly 1,000 billion euros. It gets to 5,000 billion euros of consumption. During this presentation, I'll go through these 5 sources and pillars of the meat tech world. And there you find, of course, the world of technologies, food processing machinery with a worldwide worth equal to 50 billion euros, and food and packaging machinery equal to 15 billion euros worldwide. Going on with my storytelling. So, when we talk about primary production, we can divide it in 3 macro families, so meat, fish, and dairy products. And there, the major share is the one of the meats, with 338 billion tons of production every year. The fish, 1/3 of the cake, with 174,000 billion tons, and solid dairy, so cheese and butter. This is our focus, not milk, and the value is equal to 32.4 billion tons. And if we consider the processed fresh food, there you see that this world, we have meat as well, and its value is roughly equal to 712 billion euros on a total value of 1,000. Then you see that fish is equal to 138 billion euros, and the smallest share, so to say, is the one related to cheese and butter, with 85 billion euros. If we go down with our storytelling, we go on with our storytelling, we see other important figures. But one thing that I'd like to precise, within our monitoring activity, we mainly focused on some target countries on purpose. These are target countries we'd like to focus our research on, because we wanted to be quite close to the mid-tech world and to the buyers that were selected to participate to the event. We're talking about mainly European countries and 2 non-European important countries, Egypt and Morocco. They have been part of our monitoring and assessment. Let's start from the primary sector. I was saying the total value is 545 billion tons. What about the trends? For meat, for 2019, because of the swine pest in China, we had a slowing down of meat production worldwide, but in 2020 we saw an increase again of the figures, 338 billion tons, sorry. And so we see this is a positive trend, and we also see a positive trend for the future. Fish went through 2 difficult years, 2019 and 2020, with minus figures, and now we are back to 175 billion tons. But future perspectives on the short and medium terms are quite positive, plus 1.5%. The dairy sector actually suffered less from the pandemic and international situation because the volume is smaller, but anyway we have seen an increase, and we are expecting some very positive trends that will be more rapid than the ones of fish and meat. What's the value of our target countries in the primary sector? So the share is not that big, but we're talking about important volume, 63 billion tons for meat, fish and dairy, solid dairy products, and we are talking about 13% of the meat world, 4.5% of the fish world, dominated by Asian countries, China, Indonesia, but even Peru. These countries are very important producers, good fishers, and also very good at processing fish. And we see that for solid dairy, the percentage is equal to 35%. Considering the macro figures for processed fresh food, we decided not to talk about tons, but to talk about euros. To have a better idea of the situation, meat is equal to 3/4 of the cake, fish 15%, and cheese 9%. Our target countries' shares on the total values is quite important within the processing world. More important than in the primary one, they are 1/3 of the value of processed meat, 20% of processed fish, and roughly 1/2 of solid dairy products. So as you see on the right, this world has increased roughly 4% every year, so the trend is very positive, and we expect on the medium and long term such positive trends as well. If we consider, I know it's difficult to understand this right now, but if you take into consideration the target countries that we have detected, you see how they are divided in the 3 sectors. In red, the share devoted to meat, and we are talking about processed fresh food. Orange is dairy, and blue fishes. So most countries taken into consideration have meat as the main sectors, in particular Germany, that is really focused on meat. There are a couple of exceptions, above all for non-European countries. We see Morocco, that is more focused on fish, processed fish, compared to meat, and Egypt as well is more focused on dairy than meat and fish for processed fresh food. If we go into details, in the target countries, going back and talking about meat and primary sectors, if we divide meat between poultry meat, pork meat, and bovine meat, we see that the most important countries in these 3 categories are for poultry, Poland, that ranks 8th worldwide, followed by Great Britain and France. As for pork meat, we see Germany with 1/3 of total shares, and it ranks 2nd worldwide for pork meat production, followed by Spain and then France. And for bovine meat, we see France dominating and guiding, followed by Germany and Great Britain. Italy has quite important shares, above all vis-à-vis pork and bovine meat, and so even Italy is a quite important country in this sector. If we consider target countries and we have a look at them in a different perspective, talking about processed meat, we see that fresh meat is equal to more than half of the total value, whereas 1/3 is devoted to processed meat and sausages in general, whereas smaller shares, but with the very important growing rates, are the frozen meats and also others. And if we have a look at the trends of the last 4 years, we see that from 2016 to 2020, the sector has been growing by plus 2.2% on average every year, even if it registered a contraction in the last year. As we have seen in the previous slide, target countries, the most important target countries in terms of volumes for processed meat are Germany, France, and Spain. And these 3 countries are equal to half of the total amount of the target countries. But if we move to fish, we see that European countries are not playing a major role, but we see Morocco for fishing, equal to 26% of total target countries, and Egypt for aquaculture. So, Luca, sorry, I see that we don't have enough time available. Slides are available for all participants, and we know that meat is really important within our sector within these countries for sure. Sorry, I just wanted to motivate you to be positive and also the audience to be positive, but I kindly ask you to move to new technologies if it's possible. So I just wanted to point out something related to dairy products, so very interesting, growing rates. So among the three families, it has increased the most compared to the other two families. I'm going very quickly. Consumption are equal to roughly 5,000 billion euros in total, and we expect an increase by 2-3%. We are not talking about historical figures, but trend figures. We see that the European Union is struggling a little bit in terms of trends, but among our target countries, we see some realities with some very interesting trends for consumption: Serbia, Egypt, Romania, Bulgaria, Morocco. So we see very positive trends there in terms of growth. I'm actually following Ilaria's suggestion, and I'm moving very quickly through these slides. And I'd like to touch now the point of technologies. So processing machinery and technologies, they have a total value worldwide of roughly 50 billion euros. As for 2023 projections, we see an annual growth rate equal to 6.1%. As you see on the right, meat is equal to 20%, 21%, fish a smaller amount, 2-3%, and dairy products roughly 14%. But here we have also included the liquid dairy products, and not only the solid dairy products. Going into details for the processing machinery within the meat world, so we expect an increase worldwide from now to 2023 equal to 6.9%. Asia has the highest amount of growth foreseen, plus 10%. Then we also see positive trends for North America, plus 5.6%, Europe plus 3.4%, rest of the world plus 5.8%. Similar rates, even if they are slightly smaller, are the ones of the processing machinery for fish. So worldwide an increase of plus 4.6%, so equal to 1.5 billion euros. Within the dairy world, we expect an increase of plus 5.6%. So on average, we see very positive perspectives for our segment, and we are talking about a medium horizon. And so trends and expectations and forecasts for this segment are extremely positive. So for sure we are going to be guided by Asia, but we see positive trends worldwide. The last part of my presentation is devoted to packaging machinery and technologies for fresh food. In particular, we are talking about a total value of 15 billion euros worldwide, and the forecast for the next 3 days is actually positive and equal to 2.1%. Another interesting aspect here is that we expect all areas of the world to increase. 2 areas, Asia and Africa, will have a more significant rates, like plus 2.8% for Asia and plus 3.1%, and we expect North America to increase by 0.6% and South America 1.5%. So we do expect growth within all areas with this focus on fresh food. If we consider target countries and see the distribution there, we see that the most interesting markets for packaging devoted to fresh food are Germany, Italy, second place, France, Great Britain, and so on. And there you see that we have included some of the growth rates that we expect to see, and they are all positive. As for Italy, We expect the highest growth rate for this segment in the following 3 years, plus 5.4%, even better than Asia. And I think that I'm done with this. I have rushed as fast as possible, and thank you very much. And I remind you that the presentation is available, as Rossano Bozzi was saying. I'd like to thank Luca Baraldi, and I'd like to invite all the speakers of the round table to come on stage. We have Karim Abdel Karim, President of Group Rahal. Please, can you come on stage and have a seat? So the biggest multi-business group in Morocco.
Andrea Salati Chiodini,
President Asso Food Tech. Thank you very much. Ruggero Lenti, President ASECA, and Riccardo Cavanna, Vice President of USIMA. So good afternoon, everyone.
To start with, I would like Mr. Karim Abdel Karim, something about his group. Come mai si trova qui con noi e benvenuto soprattutto della società Rahal. Buon pomeriggio.
Excuse me English because it's not very well. I am the president for Rahal Group. Rahal Group is the first group in Africa in the food. Now we prepare 300,000 meal day. Hospital, university, 200 restaurants in Morocco. I am here because we know to sell the partenariat with the Italian group or Italian company, because we need the processed food and the machine and the know-how, because we open 120 supermarkets for fresh meat and fresh vegetable, and we need the process for transformation, the meat, the fish,
You can also speak in French, maybe we can understand something.
Yes, nous avons besoin de développer pour 120 supermarchés.
Sì, ma credo che l'abbiate capito appunto che è un piano di sviluppo per 120 supermercati e stanno appunto cercando partnership in Italia per appunto procurare tutto il necessario per appunto approvvigionare questa rete distributiva, in particolare di carne, pesce e appunto prodotti alimentari. In più anche apriranno degli stabilimenti produttivi, quindi bisogno di tecnologie.
Et pour la transformation, la fabrication des fromages.
Per appunto la produzione e la trasformazione di formaggi.
Et surtout, nous avons besoin de tout ce qui est produit italien premium.
Ecco, prodotti italiani premium. Io non so il francese, vi dico solo questo, quindi non so se Luca Baraldi vuole supportarmi, però.
Nous allons ouvrir 20 grands supermarchés pour des produits premium. Tout ce qui est épicerie fine.
Only in Morocco or also in other parts of Africa?
First in Morocco, after in Africa.
Okay. And are you looking for partnership here?
Yes.
Is it your first time in
Yes.
MedTech here in this exhibition?
Yes.
Yes. And what is your impression of this place, of this fair?
It's very good. Very good.
Io volevo avvisare che il computer dove dovevano arrivare domande è morto, quindi io non le posso vedere. Poi magari appunto alla fine se qualcuno le riesce dalla regia ad avere me le riferisce. Io passerei, grazie, poi magari appunto teniamo alcune domande per il giro finale. Chiederei a Riccardo Cavanna, vicepresidente UCIMA, di raccontarci la sensazione, soprattutto perché credo che è importante sia guardare avanti.
Something about the feeling of the forecasts that we have for the future. So forecast has been great. Of course, the contest has now become a little bit more difficult. What about manufacturers of technical appliances and technical machineries? These machines do represent the excellence of Italian manufacturers. So what about constraints in terms of price rises and also the difficulties in the supply chain as far as deliveries are concerned? These are things we cannot solve by ourselves. Well, thank you very much, Ilaria, for giving me the floor, and my warm welcome to Mr. Abdelkarim. I want to be very positive. If we start speaking of the disruption of the electronic supply chain, we will start to cry altogether, and it will be very difficult to stop our tears pouring out. Let me therefore have a positive uptick in my presentation. So we are back. We are here. We are together. We are here at Meet Tech. We are, which is part of IPAC-IMA, and we are here in the exhibition grounds and seeing the brand of and label of IPAC-IMA here at the Milan Fairground has been a great emotion. And you see, the Italian manufacturers in packaging, in tutto food, in host and meat tech is an important rebound. We really needed it. Well, our sector has been pretty resilient, even if there was a drop in 2020 in our turnover, which was, of course, something we had to consider the number of factories that were closed because of lockdown. We wanted to protect the health of our employees. The investment requests, of course, dropped, but notwithstanding all of these problems, we had a great rebound. We managed to achieve incredible volumes, really unimaginable volumes, and therefore we really are confident as far as the future is concerned. So we could not be here, no fairs, no exhibitions. Now we're back. We were in a lockdown a year ago, but this sector is back. Of course, there has been a shock because of the raw material increase, the disruption in deliveries. We are trying to react as UCIMA. We have set up an observatory on raw materials. We're meeting the most important producers of raw materials, and we're trying to be bold. We want to avoid the buying panic. We don't want to run to, purchase from strategic suppliers of electronics because they are already under siege because they're lacking semiconductors and all of those items. So I want to stay positive, and I want to stay positive especially as far as packaging is concerned. The figures are really incredible. 338 billion tons of meat that are processed, packaged, and let's give a value to this. The growth increases by 5 or 6-fold. So this is a very positive moment. If we focus on in terms of sustainability on these aspects, it is far more positive. Today I'm a little bit, how can I say, maybe it is Friday, I've just come back from a very long journey. I'm not that fair. We hear many people speak of greenwashing. You see, without packaging, sustainability would really be in a bad place, and we would create even more problems to our environment. You see, our sector, packaging, has an important task. We have to create and preserve shelf life and in a cost-effective way, in a safe way for the final consumer, with a great value and a fair value in terms of allowing people to have a steak that 100 years ago was a luxury for few people and not for the majority. Now, Mr. Chiodini, do you see, Mr. Salati Chiodini, President of Assofoodtech, do you see compliance with the figures that have been published in terms of 2020 and forecast for 2021? Again, a drop of 20% average last year, but a double-digit growth this year. What is the feeling you have? Yes, we really have a great confidence in terms of market opportunities. Alas, of course, what occurred on the market depends on tourism, especially our sector. Being under lockdown, Italy was closed, and many companies had a drop of 30% and negative results. Many restaurants and hotels had to close because they went bankrupt. But vis-à-vis the first 6 months period, we have seen a plus 15% vis-à-vis 2019. So the results are really encouraging. There is a lot of trust and confidence. People really want to meet again and, be together and see each other again. And there is a trust and confidence for Italian products because the clients know, the customers know that Italian machinery is well built and is trustworthy. So companies in 2020 did not really shut down. They just shifted from one production to another. So from processing packaging for food, they shifted their production in terms of sanification products, so as to help the country in the emergency of the pandemic. So machines to wash vegetables or peel potatoes have shifted and become producers of other know-how. And by doing that in the process, they became greener. They consume less electric energy. The machinery they have manufactured have used up less raw materials, for example, and this has helped us in terms of putting up with the raw material shortage and the disruption on the supply chain. And this also helps us to tackle this huge problem, i.e. the incredible price increase that we have seen. In my company, we have seen 3 increases, double-digit increases in the raw materials we use, and we cannot ask our customers to pay that price increase, and so we have to absorb it in-house and overcome the difficulties. Well, Italians are well known for their versatility and flexibility in the various approaches that are required. Even during the pandemic, Italian creativity helped us out, and this exhibition really goes to witness our versatility. Yes, the Italian technology, in fact, was able to maintain the excellence in foodstuff sectors and maintain their alive. If we go to cereals and ancient grains, if we grind them and mince them and make something that will drop and the quality nutritional intake and make it decay, well, this is not our main objective. Yes, this is why we have invited you and you are participating to Meat Tech exhibition. And so this is now the time to introduce Ruggero Lenti, president of ASICA. Nobody has any doubts on quality, but meat, with wealth increasing, sees the increase of meat consumption. And on the other side, there is an increase of vegan consumption that make meat producers feel a little bit, guilty because of their desire of growing. FAU has also presented their take on the situation. What is your position after the pandemic? Well, thank you for the invitation. Our field has not really seen the drop caused by the crisis. We have seen a drop of by 3% in the cured meats and sliced meats sector. Before entering, though, this debate, I would like to give you some figures. From January to June, we've seen an increase in volumes by 16% of export and an increase in volumes by 12% in value, sorry. And so vis-a-vis 2019, we have a +4 in volume and +14 in value. And we have the IRI figures of hypermarkets. We have +6% for large distribution and hypermarkets. So we are growing. Notwithstanding the mood towards meat that is not as positive in the Western world, especially. We believe that it is a very difficult predicament. The increase of energy costs, of packaging, and of other items haven't been reflected by the prices on shelf products. We've been really scared to increase prices for consumers because or else they would be blocked. We should apply new prices. We're going to get there, but we will try and find agreements with large distributions and get there in a soft manner, step by step, even if a large distribution has a more negative approach, saying that this will not be possible. Anyhow, we want to continue this positive trend to be maintained. We will be obliged to update our costs with the growth in cereals and grains. This will impact meats because there has been an increase in cereals by 15%. And since in the animal world and breedings, animals eat cereals and grains, there will be an increase there as well. We speak of increase increase of energy, plastic, paper, etc. But in the near future, we will have to speak of price increases by 50%. And this is a danger because we do not want to stop a positive trend. Now, going back to the present idea of meat. In the Western world, the approach towards meat is not that positive. And even if I produce cured meat, I believe this is wrong. Now, today, at present, our practices in terms of sustainability in slaughterhouses and breeding farms, we are extremely attentive and careful. So with our various associations, we want to present our best practice results in terms of welfare, circular economy, sustainability, animal well-being and health, and communicate to the consumer that meat is not a polluting factor. And let me give you a figure. A kilogram of meat produces 5 kilograms of CO2 if we compare an average of 13 million of CO2 worldwide. Therefore, in Italy, we are a sector that is behaving properly towards the environment, the animals' well-being, and all of these elements. If we speak of pork meat and cured meat, we have changed the world. Let me say so, because with the genetic selection techniques and breeding of pigs, we have a lean and thin pork meat with the B12 and other vitamin content that is proper for the growth of youngsters and younger generations. So our sector is absolutely in line with the present consumption, but does not communicate this. So I have nothing against meat-sounding products. They are nonetheless innovative, and they deserve to be on the market. But the main difference will be that we will be very strong in claiming that pork meat is good for our health. And this is something that we have not communicated properly, but we wanted to continue to communicate that. Yes, in fact, I was pitching in by saying that you have to improve in the way in which you inform and you communicate to the final consumers. You can do more and better, because I am bombarded by other messages. So going back to sustainability, I would like to ask Mr. Cavanna, UCIMA, sustainability factors, packaging split stream. There's an abstract before the COVID. So green in terms of sustainability for packaging machinery. What are the novelties to expect? Well, I believe the role of our association is that of being trailblazers and achieving a shift of culture and mindset. Sustainability. Look at the factory of the future. It's exhibited right out of outside the pavilion. And it does not only deal with the packaging material. Consumers believe that that is the main problem. I will focus on that. Anyhow, we should also speak of production sustainability. By creating efficient lines with technology linked to the 4.0 industry, where machines are connected, collection of data, make available algorithms for production that will increase production efficiency. Well, these are all elements that are extremely relevant because it helps companies to lower prices. The companies can offset the increase of prices for raw materials with these greater efficiency. And greater efficiency also means less waste, less energy costs, more energy saving. And if we focus on Industry 4.0, there is a section that refers to the traceability of products. This is an extremely important aspect for sustainability. There are companies that really trace back from hay to the product on the shelf. And this traceability is becoming more and more important and interesting. As UCIMA, our association has presented a number of themes. Of course, Industry 4.0, we have developed these technologies. We are making them available, and we are exploiting them in terms of predictive maintenance so as to improve and enhance the production of our machines. Moreover, we focus on Packaging Speaks Green 2018, and tomorrow afternoon at MITEC we will focus on these themes again, and the packaging, IPAC-IMAN. So all of the supply chain up to the final consumer, following, distribution channels up to the consumer. Well, these are all very important aspects. We have to focus on all of the elements of the supply chain. I do not agree with everything Greta Thunberg says, but she has sort of slapped the members of the industry so as to make their mindset change. My daughters are teenagers and participate to the Fridays for Futures demonstration. And when talking to them, they tell me that they are really worried for the future. My daughters, their friends, are really scared of what will happen in the next 30, 40 years. But at the same time, they are not well informed. They read many fake news on the media. There are misleading pieces of information that the media outlets disseminate. So we are working with leaders, world leaders, companies that are guiding technological change. So we have to focus on processing, of course, but especially focus on the supply chain in terms of a sustainable future. Or else we run the risk for packaging materials and other aspects that will not be as sustainable as they could. I have received a question on robotics from the online chat box. So focusing on the supply chain delivery, I don't know how robotics works, but she's asked delivery, new trends of delivery of food at home, dispensers of ready-made dishes. So this idea of machines and robots that are going to replace human beings. I believe it's a question for all of you. I believe that automation and robotics is present in our companies, but it has been there for decades. So this trend has been an ongoing trend. Robotization has been there. Consumption is changing. Of course, e-commerce, food delivery represents new opportunities, but e-commerce is the least sustainable supply chain. If you buy a battery, which is very small, you receive it in a very big packaging. So technology can help. It can support human beings in working better. I see automation at work, and they can improve productivity in factories, in plants, and improve working conditions for the workers as well. In terms of food delivery, I'm not an expert, I am a consumer, and I believe that human beings and their intelligence are of fundamental importance for the success of these distribution chains. Many thanks. Mr. Salati Chiodini, safety. We are debating on safety and security. There have been a number of accidents in the working environment. So we can see a number of examples in Made in Italy for machine production that really focuses on workers' safety and protection. Well, we have always been very, very careful in terms of accident prevention on the workplace. In fact, many technicians of our companies participate to conferences and meetings that devote attention to safety. In Italy, there are an average of 30 companies that devote their attention to slicing machines and mincing machines for meat. We have the main majority of producers, whilst in France and Germany there are just a couple. And so we devote a lot of attention on how a certain set of products have to be worked. We are the pioneers and we know very much about slicers. They do not know how to slice our mortadellas that are very, very big. German cured meats are very small. And so we have a great expertise in this field. We know how to build machines that can work and allow workers to be safe and secure. Because it's useless to have machines that are so complicated that have to be broken into by the operator, or else they would not be able to work safely with those machines. Many thanks. So let's go back to our guest. Can Mr. Karim, Abdel Karim, would you be able to supply and support the supply chain of filling up 120 supermarkets in Morocco, but also the rest of Africa, because we are speaking of all the halal meat processing technology? So 2 questions.
That's for sure. So the meat sector, maybe for pork meat, that's suitable. I cannot imagine halal with pork meat. I really would like to find a solution, but right now I don't have one. But for meat, we don't have the problem. Production capacities in our sector are very, very high. So we are maybe self-sufficient for some of these types of meats, so there is no problem to supply these products. But unfortunately, the Western world is a world where we have hyperproduction, overproduction. So the problem is to find good channels to sell products. I think we could be able to give food to the entire population of the world. The problem is that maybe some people in the world don't have the money to pay for it. This is a problem, so to say. But for sure, we have the capacity within the meat supply chain to supply what is required. That's for sure. May I add something about sustainability? Yes, of course you can. You don't have to ask for permission. First of all, European Parliament has denied actually what was said on Farm for Pork yesterday, because the sustainability was not implemented in the right way, so the sustainability impact was asked. That's for Farm for Pork. That's why the European Commission has to come back to this concept, and this is a success also of ASICA, because we have always stated that Farm for Pork was something that was not correct for one simple reason. In Europe, we produce in a very sustainable way. So European farming procedures are very sustainable compared to the processes that are performed all over the world. So we would have reduced the production of poultry in Europe to import poultry from other countries that would have had a higher impact on the environment. So the problem is to try to reduce our impacts and maybe to teach also other countries how they can produce in a very sustainable way. Another point related to sustainability. If we eliminated, for example, breeding, agriculture would not be sustainable. Without agriculture, a territory won't be sustainable. It would be economically unsustainable and even socially unsustainable, I would like to add. So, sustainability should be economic, social, and eco-compatible, so to say. So we have to understand that breeding is a very important aspect of sustainability, and we have to try to create a virtuous cycle to have this kind of production. We should not think that 50 years ago we were able to produce better. No, that was not true. Karim, the floor is yours. Ci può dire magari qualcosa dell'approccio alla sostenibilità del Marocco?
Quality production and furniture in your country and in your sector in particular.
Yes, I want to close. We are our group is open for all partenariat in fresh, in processing, sell machine, because we have the first name in Africa. We can't open the African market for Italian people. We have we have everything to develop with the Italian people and Italian enterprise in Africa.
Thank you. We are very honored to have you here.
You know, this year, the Moroccan government, he gave 30% free for all investment. We decided to invest. We are the Delmont, it's the American company. He exists in 100 countries in the world. It's our partner. Today, next week, we sell 100 container fruit. But now I don't want to sell the fruit. I want to processing the fruit, to processing the vegetable, to sell all in the world.
Ok. Quindi avete capito appunto, che ci sono grandi possibilità appunto in Marocco e credo appunto che sia la figura giusta, perché ripeto, mi dicevano adesso nella chiacchierata che abbiamo fatto prima di questo incontro.
As he was saying, actually we had a chat before this event and Karim was actually telling me that the group Rahal is working very much, but the government has some property in the supply chain. And so I think that the Italian Trade Agency should consider also this aspect. This is not part of the meat tech world right now, but I think that there are very, very important aspects to be taken into consideration and also opportunities for collaboration. If there are no questions, I'd like to thank all the people who collaborated to the success of this trade fair and this event, and I wish you a great evening. Thank you very much.